How's it going, and welcome to The Guitar Effect. My name's Rob. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this. This is the, I'm going to make sure I get it right, Ge150 Max from Mooer, and this is one of their newer MultiFX processors, right? So I've reviewed, I think, at least 2 if not 3 MultiFX processors from Mooer, and I've been using MultiFX for a long time as part of my gigging setup in various different, sometimes I use pedals, and then for other applications I'll use MultiFX. But I always use them as part of a pedal board. Generally I prefer to have my overdrives to be analog and have them outboard of a MultiFX, but then control them with a MultiFX. This is how I generally tend to do things. And that's kind of the objective of most MultiFX I have. This is different in that this only really works as a self-contained unit. So as your multi-effects and amp modeler, this can do it all. It's also quite affordable, and it's made of plastic, which really hard plastic. I don't have any concerns about. There's no touch screen, so it's kind of like an entry-level giggable modeler, for want of a better term, because of the amount of foot switches it has. So the Ge150 originally was one of those 3-button mini modelers that was an entry-level thing, and I think this is a similar thing to that, but expanded to be more practically usable excuse me, practically usable in a gigging situation. So I want to talk about what I mean by that, right? So okay, what does it have? It has 4 preset switches of A, B, C and D across the front. It has a bank up and bank down switch. It has a tuner switch that can also activate the looper, and then it has a tap tempo button. It also has an expression pedal on the end, right? Then it has all these lights across the front which represent the different effects blocks, which are effects, distortion, amp, cab, noise suppressor, EQ, mod, delay and reverb. And there's an in and an out, obviously, on either end, right? And then you have a play, save, and expression button, and a tap, rhythm, and system button. Okay. Then you have a mode encoder, a select encoder, and a master volume. So, interesting things about this are, there's no touch screen, so everything's done with knobs. Again, a more beginner type of navigation / user control, as opposed to there being buttons along here to control turning on and off effects individually. They're not buttons, it's just lights to say which one you're currently on. Then there's other things like there is a drum machine built in and there's a looper built in, which to me are nice to have, but for a gigging musician who's part of a band they're not really necessary, which makes this more of a sort of home musician, Instagram musician, YouTube musicians kind of tool. But again, the amount of foot switches and the control you can actually do on the fly make it also pretty good for gigging. Then on the back you have a auxiliary in, which is like to plug your phone in to jam along with tracks, your guitar input, stereo outputs and jack, stereo outputs and XLR, you have a phone socket, and you have a USB jack. So the fact that this doesn't have an effects loop, so you can't integrate your amp into it really in a way where you'd be able to put your preamp of your amplifier in the right place in the signal chain. And the fact that it doesn't have MIDI clearly means to me that this is not intended to be part of a rig. It's intended purely to work as a standalone unit. So this does everything. It's not intended to be part of a rig, which is normally how I use MultiFX. So in that way, this was interesting for me. So it's intended to go direct, though there is a function where you can turn off the cab sim on either the XLR or jack outputs and say send the XLR to the front of the house and send the jack to a F4 cab on stage, which could be really useful. Or indeed, you can turn off the speaker simulation, which means you could send it to the effects return of a guitar amp and have the preamp come from this and the power amp and cabinet come from the amp on stage if you plugged into the effects return. So all that routing is handled well in here. So yeah, that's kind of what the unit is. It's a, for want of a better word, it's a beginner's level, fully capable, giggable multi-effects. And it is that because of the bank up and down and the 4 foot switches. What the bank up and down and 4 foot switches allow you to do, which I don't cover off in this video and I will in the next, is have a set list based operating system for your gig. So you could have song, then intro, verse, chorus, lead, or solo or something, and you could go to the next song, have intro, verse, chorus, lead, right? So most of the models that are around this size and this kind of price range don't have the functionality to be able to do that, and in that way it's really good. So that's the intro. Let's take a listen to it now. Okay, so to review the Ge150 Max is pretty simple. I'm playing my Jazzmaster, which is my newest guitar and therefore is featuring in most videos these days. I really love it. It's a really brilliant Jazzmaster, and I think really good Jazzmasters, I'm still trying to knock the light on the guitar. Really good Jazzmasters are hard to find. This is an excellent one. So what I'm doing is coming out of the guitar into the Ge150 Max, out of the Ge150 Max into a channel interface, straight up, just guitar modeler interface, right? What I'm going to do is try to keep this as succinct as possible, because this is the first like straightforward part of the demo, right? So right now, I'm just going to turn myself up in the room a little bit. Right now I'm playing in Bank 1 preset A and 65 Deluxe. So first of all, my guitar is a tiny little bit out of tune, so I'll just hit the tuner. So it's not the most perfect tuner, I'm not perfectly in tune there, but for the purpose of the demo it's fine. So tuner works great, and by the way, I'm not going to get into looper in this video. I don't do looping. I'm a live guitar player who plays in a band. I've no use for looping, so if you want to see how the looper works or whatever, watch a different video that somebody who uses loopers. I don't use them. So that is the Fender Deluxe sound. So the four sounds in Bank 1 are Fender Deluxe, Fender Twin, very similar, a Fender Bass Guy, decent, and the Sonic Drive. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it sounds like it's playing through like an 8-inch speaker there. So not my thing. Okay, let me just show you some of the things you can do in a preset. Right? So I'm in the Fender Deluxe. If you go to the mode knob and twist the mode knob, you get into the different things that are available. So right here there's a compressor. I can turn the compressor off, turn it on, and obviously I can then just go in and change any of these settings that I want to. If I go back to the mode knob, if I cycle through, I go through all these, you can see the lights are flashing, all the different models or modules that are available to me to tweak my sound. So I'm going to go back to DS. So right now it's on 05 drive, D drive, which sounds like this, which I think is too low. So say I wanted to make that louder, I would scroll across to here, click it, and then make it louder. Okay, so that's how you would do that. If I wanted to change the drive model, I would click it again, which is hard to do, go back to drive, click it, and change it. Or go backwards, flex boost. Quite like that actually. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to tweak that, right? So I'm going to hit this, go to the volume, the tone is a bit bright, so I'm going to bring that back, and I think I'd like a little bit more gain. So if I wanted to turn on an overdrive, that's how I do it, okay? And then I could store it with the overdrive on or off. You can turn the overdrive on and off separately with this switch. I found out how to do it in the software. I cannot figure out how to do it in front of the unit, but it can be done easy in software. And I have 4 patches set up that I'll go through in a minute that I'll show you how that works. So, I want to go back out of that, so I've got play mode, right? Now the drive, if I go to and back, because I didn't save it, we're still clean. So just to show mod and the delay, same principle, turn this until I get to the D tune, which is a mod block. You can see mod here. I can turn that
On. Oh, I'm after going to delay, sorry. I'm after turning the delay on as well, turn that off. Go to detune and turn it on. No difference. Now the reason that there's no difference is very simple. It's the mix is at 0. So if I go to the mix, I'll do it again. No. Go to the mix, turn the mix up. As I turn it up, you can hear the detune coming in. That's how you do a mod. I'm going to turn it off again with this one, and then I'm going to go to hit this, and then I'm going to go to delay, and I'm going to show you, I don't like that dual delay. So I'm going to change that dual delay. So what I do is select this, bring it to analog, say tape, which is the one I like. You can see the dot is set to quarter notes, right? So I can make that faster. Or indeed, I can cycle along here, cycle along to the subdivisions, hit it, and change that to a dotted eighth there. And now I'll have a dotted eighth delay, it depends on what I tap in. So say I wanted to do some U2 stuff. I can tap in the quarter note, and get the time, get the edges dotted eighth delay thing. So put it in the middle. Say you turn on the delay, I'm going to turn the delay off. And that's kind of how you would set up and edit a patch, right? I'm not going to go through amp models because there's too many amp models and too many cabs and stuff to go through, but that's how you would like add effects to a patch. So the other thing then I'm going to touch on really quickly is the expression switch. You can go into function on expression, hit the switch, and at the moment it's set to effects, which is this first effects block. You can go to effects within the compressor in this case. You can hit it and you can change any, you can set the expression pedal to change any parameter of the compressor. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to go to delay, which I'd have to turn on, and I wanted to control level, right? So if I save that, this is where I'm kind of getting really confused, okay? So now I've assigned the expression pedal to control the delay level, and I want to go turn the delay on, so I go hit this until I get to delay. No, went past it. There, turn it on. When I pull the expression pedal back, what it should do is bring the delay out. But what it does is bring the volume down and leaves the delay in. Now, if I go into expression pedal again, there's function, calibrate, and expression volume. If I hit expression volume, it says volume pedal on. I can go into that. It's hard to do there, and but still there. So I'm finding the expression pedal very, very hard to program and use, because what I want that to do there is to turn on delay. And in another patch that I made myself, I wanted it to turn on tremolo, to blend in the depth of the tremolo, and I couldn't get it to do it in a working way. So Mooer, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it seems very hard for me to understand how to use the expression pedal to do the things I want it to do. So that's basically the top level of what the thing sounds like. So now what I want to do is, I made a bank of 4 patches, which are called Copper Clean, Dirty Snow and Fuzz, right? What these are is the Ge150 Max, like the rest of Mooer's gear that come out in the last while, has the capacity to load the Mooer captures, which you can download from their website. When you download them from one unit, for example, I downloaded them on the GS1000, you can store them and then go back to any of their other units and recall them, the amp models that you download, or the captures I should say that you download. When I play live with the Naughties tribute band I'm in, I use a Victory copper head and a Harley Benton 112 vintage 30 cab. And so what I wanted to do was attempt to sort of recreate that rig using a capture of that amp and a similar cab, right? So what I've done is I've made copper clean, copper dirty, copper snow, and copper full. And you can hear it feeding back there. So what these are, I'm just going to mute something. Give me 1 sec. That's why my mic was feeding back. That's why that feedback happened. So what I've done here is I've created a sound that has a compressor. It's on here. I'll just go into it and show you. So I have the yellow comp on, and then I have the tube OD, but it's not on. I have the Victory copper amp. I have my own vintage 30. It's a Celestian impulse response, low gain 212. I have a noise killer on. I have the Mooer graphic EQ, but it's not on. I have the tremolo, it's not on. I have the tape delay, it's not on. And I have the spring reverb, right? That has that kind of touch sensitive thing that I really, really like with these captures that you can get off Mooer's site. Back pickup, neck pickup. If I hit B, I get into the same thing, the exact same thing, but now I've set the amp to be darker, or dirtier. Sorry, onto B. Onto C, I have a specific one set up to do Run by Snow Patrol. So there's two parts to that. One goes... What that is, you can see I have a delay on, I have the copper. Oh, by the way, you'll notice there's no cab in any of these, right? You can see the cab is blocked out. The reason for that is the profile I have is an amp and a cab, okay? So the copper snow is a dirty one, the dirty, copper. But when I hit the switch, it turns purple and I get a rotary. And the rotary and the delay are on. And what that does is, in the software you can assign, the compressor and the mod come on. You can assign this switch to various different functions, whatever you wanted to do, the active preset switch. So I go back to A, I hit it, it turns on the distortion. On B, I hit it, and again turns on the distortion. So without it, with it. I have that really nasal sounding lead sound there because it's used for that song Reptilian, the band, and he has a really nasal lead guitar tone. I've shown Snow, and the last one is this copper fuzz one, okay? And what this is, it's the slightly dirty amp with a fuzz face in front of it, but I've two versions of it. It's getting a bit microphonic here, that's mad. I've two versions of it. One is for like, what's it called? The white stripe. But the other one, when I hit the switch, turns on a really nasal EQ that I use for Queens of Stone Age. And the reason for that is I'm using the full space into the dirty version of the amp in both of those presets, but the full space gives me the right amount of gain, but I wanted the different EQ tonal characteristic for the difference between the White Stripes and Queens of Stone Age, and having this functionality available on the Switch allows me to do that. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. In the next video I'm going to get into programming like 4 songs in intro, verse, chorus, solo or end or whatever it is, to show you how well it can cope with more complex effect needs, right? But all in all, the sound quality is very high. I think the controllability in terms of being able to have 4 presets, bank up, bank down, a tap and a tuner switch, are pretty good. There's no sub presets. There's limited things you can do with the active foot switch, turning it on and off. Right, so it's not in any way as easy to use or as powerful as a Ge150 or GS1000. But again, I don't think it's competing in the same space. It's a comprehensive entry-level modeler in MultiFX, and at that I think it's pretty good. It's outstanding value for money. Yeah, so there you go.
So there you go. If you're looking for your first kind of foray, or indeed doesn't have to be first, this doesn't have to be a beginner unit. If you want to do everything in this, in your MultiFX / amp modeler on the floor, and like I said in the intro, you could run it to the effects return if you could turn up on stage via the jacks out, and then run these sort of front of house for a stereo if you wanted to the PA. And in that way, this is a fully capable gigging solution. The fact that it has no effects loop and the fact that it has no MIDI means that it's intended to do everything by itself. Now, I want to talk about sound for a second. Recently, transitioning from amp modeling to Mooer's available amp captures has sort of taken the sound consideration away from things for me, because the amp captures of the amps that I want to use, the JTM45, the Deluxe Reverb, the Bassman, the Vox AC30, and now, as I've showed in this video, the Victory Copper, are so good and so usable and so reliable that I wouldn't be concerned using any Mooer modeler that allows me to use that amp capture technology. I use it in the little M1 pedal. I've used it in their whatchamacallit, preamp X2 preamp pedal. I've used it in the GE150 and the GS1000. The same amp models and everything sound exactly the same, and in that way I think Mooer has an ecosystem here where you can get the same sound in a vast number of different devices for different situations, and in that way I think Mooer is doing a really, really good job on the technology front here. It's all very affordable. You can load the same sounds into each unit and use each unit for whatever situation you require, and in that way I think Mooer has a really good ecosystem going here with what they're doing. So as I said, this is the first video about this unit. I normally will make 3 videos about these. One where I do what I just did and I demonstrate the general kind of modus operandi of it. And then I make another video where I demonstrate complex presets. And that's the next video I'm going to make, right? So in the next video, I'm going to make 3 songs, the first 3 songs of my original band set list. And those songs will work like this. You will go, each bank will have a song. So you'll have song 1 in bank A1, and you will have intro, verse, chorus, solo. Then it'll go up to song 2, intro, verse, chorus, solo, and they will all have different effect needs that this will need to be able to handle that task. And I think it's really interesting in an event on a unit of this size and price to see how well it copes with that. The third video I would normally make was where I integrated with pedals. I'm not going to do that in this because it's not designed to do that. Yeah, and so that's the first look at the Ge150 Max from your pretty comprehensive all-in-one solution for your gigging needs. Okay, so I'll see you again in the next video next week. Any questions, throw them in the comment section down below. If you've watched this far, as always, I say thank you. Oh, and lastly, my band Kampala are releasing a single next Friday, and it's the second single from our debut album, which will be out next February. So I would love you to go and check out my band, right? I'll post a link to my band here. Just go check us out. If you like the sound of what we're doing. We're like an alternative rock band. We kind of sound like a bit like Depeche Mode meets Soundgarden. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. If you don't. But please take the time to go and check us out. I'd really appreciate it. So that's it. Oh, speaking of liking and subscribing, like and subscribe to this video as well if you enjoyed the content. And I'll see you in another video again soon. Take it easy. Bye bye.